welcome to the Tavern Between Dimensions, a monthly tabletop RPG podcast. My name is Carl Doolish, and I shall be your bartender for your time here today. Joining me for service, as always, is the Dungeon Master to the Explorers of Elsewhere, Dan Tyree.
It wasn't me, I promise.
Suspicious. And you'll notice that Anton is missing today because NASA's next phase is to fire him at an asteroid instead. So unfortunately that has left us a little short-staffed in the tavern, which is why we've got some help. In the forms of Staff and Tom.
Hello.
Hello.
Honoured to be here.
Yeah. It's good to have you. For the people at home, why don't you tell people a very little bit about yourselves?
Sure. Well, I mean, Tom and Staff are our real names, but we also go by the names Hyper-G, and Tom, you are?
Lucky Sixes. It's cringe, I know, right?
Wait, so I thought those were your real names. Have I just
Oh,
been getting it wrong
absolutely.
this time?
We've tried desperately hard to ingrain that in people's minds, but who knows?
Absolutely, yeah. And collectively, we are the PROXY Table Gaming YouTube channel, which is a tabletop wargaming channel, effectively, mainly for the 9th Age.
Which I think, Dan, you're probably a little more clued in with 9th Age than I am.
Yes, yeah. I've got a long and sordid history with the PTG YouTube channel, which I'm very pleased to have had. So yeah, thank you for jumping onto the
No problem.
show today.
Thank you for picking up Anton's slack.
Yes.
Oh, of
No,
course.
I'm really just here for a drink.
Yeah, that drink you offered us. When does that
Yes.
come, by the way?
That's on the lock-in later.
The Uber driver will be
Okay.
there at some point.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, how did he get his first?
So you've got to wave the note around. That's what
Yeah,
really
it's a
gets the
knack.
attention, yeah.
It's definitely a knack at the bar. Don't worry about it.
Well, on that point, let's get into our first segment. So, I think the best way to get the ball rolling is to go into a little bit more detail about PTG, because obviously it's how Dan knows you, and it's how I've sort of like heard about you, and obviously I think I've span around the sort of orbit of PTG. I also think you're one of our earliest subscribers to the EOE channel. So
Very much so, yeah.
So we do have a long relationship with you in what's almost been a year of Tavern and a little bit longer for EOE. So why don't you go into a bit more detail about the PTG channel and what it entails?
Sure. You want this Lucky Sixes, or you want me to take the lead?
No, you know what? I'll follow up.
I think it was about 5 years ago, we started PROXY Table Gaming as a YouTube channel. We are avid gamers, tabletop gamers, that originally played Warhammer 8th edition, and that basically ceased to exist around that time and became the 9th Age, which was created by the community of players who liked using their models and wanted to continue a fantasy setting as 9th Age was born. And probably coincidentally, around that time, we decided that our time was right to begin publicising our battle reports, pictures that we were taking of battles on the tabletop, using the models. And the idea behind PROXY Table Gaming was because we didn't own anywhere near as many models as we would have liked. We weren't rich enough to buy all the models that we wanted to play. And so we
never will be for that.
No. And so we proxied. We proxied our models. We said we used the models that we owned, and we said this is a different model. And we wanted to see whether people who watched those battle reports would A, have a problem with that, or B, be able to join us on our journey of proxying. And it didn't hold us back at all. People came on board with it. They understood that we didn't have those models. And from there, the channel launched, really. And 5 years passes, and now, well, I mean, Lucky Sixes, you know the stats better than I do, but I think we can say we're one of the biggest YouTube channels for the 9th Age.
For the 9th Age, yeah. Yeah, and I'd say we also, that when we started, it coincided with us actually going out to tournaments rather than playing tabletop gaming in our garages, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that was really cool to actually meet people in the community that are also playing, and say anybody that does that sort of thing, that does just play with one or two people at home, I'd definitely recommend them going out to tournaments of the game just to enjoy it and meet new people, because we've definitely, I mean, Dan's an example of this probably, is that we met lifelong friends, and all that jazz from it, and had some really, really good times out in Cardiff, Stockport, all that sort of places. So it's been great.
I actually remember pretty much like the first time I met you two, and it was at one of the Ninth Age tournaments in Bristol. I think it was one of my first that I'd been to, and kind of getting to know you because you were doing like interviews with some of the players and everything, and it was kind of building that. It was amazing to see that kind of community being built. But then when you went on to say, yeah, we're gonna go for it, like the channels, we're kicking off the channel, and that's gonna be our thing, and that was it was amazing to hear, and really, really glad that it's still going, and it's
it's
going
been
well.
really cool, and I say building it up from like literally us two to meeting new people, and thankfully getting 1,000 subscribers, which is awesome. And we'd never dreamed we'd get that because Ninth Age it's one of those niches which is it's in gaming, and then within table gaming, and then models, and then niche. It's niche after niche after niche. So it's been. We tried to do different things with our channel as well. So we've gone into Final Fantasy a little bit, gone into Total Warhammer and things like that. But we just sort of stuck to Ninth Age because that's our bread and butter, so to speak. So.
If you do fancy subscribing to our channel, I mean, we've got to
we
get
should
that
say
in,
that,
haven't
shouldn't
we?
we? Yeah.
You know?
I will ensure that there is a link down below in the description so people can, if they wish to.
I'm pretty sure the tavern will get you a drink as well if you do.
The tavern makes no promises.
So, but obviously, well, anyone that's watched any of the Explorers of Elsewhere channels will probably have noticed that like my shelves behind me are just festooned with models and miniatures. And I feel like there you go, right? So I feel like
Dan,
there's a
isn't your
definite
house filled with miniatures, like.
Sure. It is an ongoing battle against me and the goblins. But I always find that when it comes to like tabletop miniatures and like role-playing games, that Venn diagram is quite heavily crossed over a lot of the time. So, I mean, besides sort of like the wargaming aspects of things, like what sort of RPG experiences have you got? Like, what sort of things tickle your pickles?
Yeah, well, I mean, so I guess we've already kind of touched on it. And Final Fantasy is a big one for us, and we do a lot of D&D personally, anyway, as well. And staff/Hyper-G is very much a lead in. One of the things is board games. So we we're nerds in all sorts of places, really.
And PC gaming is another one for me. I mean, Baldur's Gate is just one of the best of all time. Always will be. You know, I also love Crusader Kings, all those sorts of things. They're not really an RPG as such, but you know, the grand strategy games. Don't get me started.
Yeah, I mean, don't mention grand strategy games with me. I've an ongoing Crusader Kings 3 game that has just turned for the worst, as they tend to do. You mentioned Final Fantasy. Is that sort of playing the game on your channel, or is that an actual tabletop game that you're playing on the channel?
No, so I mean, because there is obviously the tabletop. There's the card game and stuff. But we played a bit of Final Fantasy VII Remake on our channel and a bit of Final Fantasy VII. So between us, we've played all of them, and it's sort of that's a lot of a lot of my fantasy knowledge anyway comes from Final Fantasy. So you mention anything, it's the OG is Final Fantasy to me. But and I guess it's kind of where we sort of bonded as kids as well. So
absolutely, I mean, up until Final Fantasy IX came out, Tom was just the annoying little cousin for me. And then Final Fantasy IX came out. Unfortunately, it came out on the day that I was looking after my younger cousin Tom. Ugh, how annoying! How can I just shove him in a corner and play Final Fantasy IX all day? And funnily enough, he liked it, and ever since then, best buds as well as cousins.
Yeah. So, and 9 is my utmost favourite. So you just had me the moment you mentioned 9 there.
That's good. Yeah. Well, it's that petrified forest is the FMV
Spoilers.
for me. Yeah. Well. Hey mate, it's been out long enough.
Yeah, exactly. 1999 was it?
The Titanic sinks. Don't worry about it.
So, well, given you've got such a strong love for for Final Fantasy, do you sometimes feel that, like, if there was like a Final Fantasy tabletop game or a Final Fantasy RPG, is that something that you would kind of be interested in, or?
Mate, as soon as D&D releases a Buster Sword, I'm in. I'm fully involved.
I'm surprised we've kept Tom away from it this long, to be fair. He hasn't delved into it enough, but I think it's only a matter of time.
I have to say, Dan, I would love to run a Final Fantasy game, but I'm just, there's so much copyright stuff against it. It would be impossible to run. But I'd love to. I'd love to run it for the channel.
Yeah, man.
Well, we could always write a rule book called Last Legacy, and it's all about the elemental diamonds. And yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everyone rides giant chickens called Wakabos. No one will know. No one will know.
It could be the opportunity we get to see Dan as a player on the channel, because I want to see that. I know.
Man.
I didn't tell Dan I was going to say this when he got me on this recording. I want Dan as a player. I'm telling you now.
I thank you for saying that, because I've been trying to get Dan as a player, but it's very difficult to pin most of the EOEs down for a game.
And I myself am a slippery little newt when it comes to being a player. You mentioned earlier that you both had kind of personal D&D games. What is it you're running? What is it you're playing?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I kind of frog marched Tom into D&D. Really. I said that I'd read the book and I wanted to play it, but I didn't have anyone who would play it with me. Tom is my go-to man to force to play stuff. So we had about 3 or 4 sessions of playing Lost Mines of Phandelver in my front living room, which was awesome. I even wrote my wife in to play that.
Nice.
She wasn't really into it, but she did it because I asked her to. And then Tom found some of his old schoolmates who basically wanted to play D&D again that he hadn't played with for over 10 years. And because Phandelver kind of came to a natural conclusion, we branched into Storm King's Thunder with a group of about 6 or 7 of us.
So I just drafted anyone that wanted to. My father-in-law's got a particularly good one, because he, as soon as I mentioned we were doing D&D and things, he was like, well, there was one time in 1972 that I went up against a gelatinous cube, and you're like, and it brought up this whole big memory of him at university, 30, 40 years ago, playing D&D with his mates, and we got him involved, and he's classic, I think, would be the.
Definitely.
He's incredible. It's worth.
Yeah.
And brought all these people together, and staff does an amazing job at DMing us, and in this sandbox, I think it's called.
It's definitely a sandbox, yeah.
And I say
we're
that
on session 76 now. So.
Yeah. And we still don't know who the big bad is. So it's one of
I
them.
don't either.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and it's a good chance to catch up with old friends, really, from my point of view as well. And occasionally, one of the other guys does a one shot of sorts, which has ended up being episodic, actually, rather than a one shot. We have our characters for the one shots, which is just
and we've got about 12 one shots, haven't we?
Yeah.
With the same character.
So yeah, it's one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, but then you also do some DMing yourself, don't you, Tom?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of glutton for punishment, really. When mention this to people, it's even people that aren't. I'm trying to be PC. Aren't typical nerds. It's probably all that sort of thing. So my football lot, I play football quite a bit, and my football lot obviously give me quite a lot of banter for my nerd expertise. And so I called their bluff. I said, "Come on, then." Come and have a go. And we had a group of, including myself, 9 of us, play what I thought was a one shot, and we're now into our 5th session. I've never DM'd before as well, so going from not DMing to having this group of footballers that have no idea about fantasy or anything like that, it was really, really interesting. I was lax with the rules, should we say, in order to get them through it, but no, it's been really fun. And so they got into it through that, and they really enjoyed it and have their characters and things. And I did occasionally they'll pick up on certain rules like I'd never thought. So one of them is has the librarian background, and he goes, "Oh, I once read a book where I knew how to defeat the enemy right away." So I've got to make up a rule for that somehow, rather than just completely nullify them. So what I tend to do is if they come up with a stupid rule, like another guy said, I want to jump up like Superman. So if they come up like that, I just roll a d20. If you roll a 20, you can do it. Anything else, you're an idiot. And we get on with the game, hopefully. And I just hope in my head they don't roll a 20.
Although one of your finest
no, no.
moments with that group was when you made a hostage of one of their characters' mothers, and they just decided to just blow up the bridge the hostage was standing on because whatever.
So in each of my I have like it is one shot, so it lasts 4 hours, and it comes to an end each one, and like our ones, it's the one shots become episodic. In the first one, they had to kill this necromancer, and they killed the necromancer, but also the building within it. Then the next time they had to get rid of these bandits on a bridge who were also holding captives. So they did it, but they destroyed the bridge. Then they were blocked up and they had to escape, and they were almost about to escape before one of them decided there was a shiny red button over there that I need to press, and that was the alarm, obviously, for all the other guards. So they stayed. So they're constantly going against what I think they'll do. Like any party, right?
Perfect D&D.
They would constantly keep you guessing.
Yeah.
It sounds like the love child of the Expendables and Minions.
It is. It is. If herding minions is a good, very apt thing.
Like, I think it's really telling that when you look at the target demographic, quote unquote, of like role-playing games, and now that just seems to have expanded so much to encompass social groups that you historically might not have associated with.
Absolutely.
And the fact that it's just like it's accepted, it's just okay. Like,
it's very open now. For sure.
Like, why was it ever really a problem? I mean, God, we had one of our previous guests, Chris.
I was going to mention Chris actually.
Yeah, being like a professional DM and then doing team building exercises for investment bankers.
Or
like
stag doos.
Stag doos.
Yeah.
And I think it's just incredible that the whole adults having hobbies isn't frowned upon anymore. Like, it's not boys with toys or girls with toys.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, let's face it. It's what, 50 years old now. D&D. It's been in the mind of the public for so long, and it had its phase where everyone sort of made fun of it, but as we've talked about before, Stranger Things has sort of made people more aware of it. Like, even Critical Role has become such a popular name that, I know people who aren't normally into D&D are catching Critical Role on YouTube going, what is this? And watching it. So it has just become so open. I mean, even when I started one at my workplace, I had people coming along who were like, I have no idea what this is. I don't think I'm going to like it, but I'm curious. And and that's what I love about it these days. Like, again, you can call the bluff your football team, like, come along.
Yeah.
And 5 sessions in, like, clearly.
It's crazy. I keep saying to staff, "Oh, this will be the last one." They're definitely going to hate it after this, and then the next one planned immediately. So it's funny. It's funny, man.
It always makes me think of if you've ever listened to it, The Adventure Zone. If you listen to like the first 2 arcs of The Adventure Zone, they do not take it seriously. They're very silly. They're very goofy. They do really stupid stuff. It's that 3rd arc. You can almost tell the point that they started taking it seriously. You just hear one of the players who's almost joking around, then lay it down the description. And I think even Griffin sat there and was like, huh, as he suddenly realized he had them. And I almost like look forward to at some point want to get you back to find out what that moment was for that group where someone does something and you sit there. Did you just quote rules at me?
Oh, for sure. I in the early days I gave them inspiration for reading their rule set.
Nice, that's smart.
Just I can do this. Inspiration. Well done.
To be fair, if they implement that in the new version of D&D, then I think that will be the most popular rule change.
Yeah.
So, Staffy, I know that you are a sucker for a board game, and not too long ago we got together and we played Zombicide.
Oh, I love Zombicide.
Yeah.
And so, do you find that sort of like your your love for RPGs kind of feeds into those board games that are kind of inherently RPG, or is that like a separate love that just again happens to share a similar kind of space?
I'd be lying if I said that if I saw a board game with an RPG name on it that I recognise, that didn't just draw me in automatically. I mean, I don't know how much space there is in my head for different rule sets, but I will push it as far as it can go until the day I die. So, I mean, I wish I could remember rule sets for everything, and I'm doing a pretty good job of it. But no, I will just play anything and everything and love it. And yeah, the list of board games that I want to play is far longer than the ones I've played, and the ones I've played is growing daily. So, it's just insane how much is out there, and I even want to create my own. But
Nice.
hey, let's see where that goes in the future.
What would you say is the best sort of RPG board game that you have played?
Whew, that's a tough one. I mean, Zombicide is up there. I'll be honest. Is very good, and the stories you can create within that are fantastic. I think one of the ones that myself and Tom have played recently is Dead of Winter. We very much enjoyed that as a one-off. Or I think we played it twice, so 2 off if that's the thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Have you played House on Haunted? Is it House on Haunted Hill?
Betrayal at the House.
we haven't played it yet, but it's in the list of things to play.
Yeah.
And
We've got such a long list. This is the issue.
Yeah, that one I enjoy. I have a friend who he loves creating and telling stories. So for him, that one is always a go-to. He loves it to pieces.
And there's a Baldur's Gate version of it as well.
Yes, there is.
Murder in Baldur's Gate or something.
Yes.
We are very au fait with that one, aren't we, Carl?
We are indeed. We played it on my stag do.
Yes.
Brilliant.
We are rock and roll rock stars.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, we sat there with old fashions playing Murder at Baldur's Gate. Oh, yeah.
Do you not do that
proper
regularly? Yeah. That's just a Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah, but for me it's just a Tuesday, but it was a Tuesday with friends.
Yeah, well that's good.
It was the addition of the ball game. Normally it's just day drinking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Gloomhaven's another one, another
yeah.
favourite of ours,
Yes.
actually. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm very deep into the computer game version of it now, PC.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But that one I haven't actually got the physical copy of Gloomhaven. It's always been on the computer. But love it.
I've got a friend here in Bristol who has been playing Gloomhaven for yonks with a group of friends, like the physical copy. And the bit that blew my mind is that there's this kind of idea that once you play a character like that, that's it. Like you have like envelopes that you seal things away in, and once it's done, it's done. Like once that quest is done, you can't go back to it. So in a way, it's almost weird that it's just like, oh, this is a one-time thing. But then I suppose in a way, if you're playing through like a D&D campaign, it's a one-time thing. That's not weird, but you just walk away with those lingering and hopefully permanent memories. But yeah, that's fascinating. Another board game that's just sprung to mind, Mansions of Madness. I played that some time ago. It recently had
to the list.
Yeah. So it's a second edition.
We already don't have enough time for this is mad.
The bit that kind of made me chuckle, the second edition has an app that you download to your phone, and one of the players basically becomes the games master, and the app reads out, basically gives the games master a script to read out, and then you can then say to the players, you can see, oh, there's a crack in the wall over there, there's a leaking barrel over in that corner, what do you want to do? And then like you tap what the players want to do on the app, but the app's also it's got like a hidden timer, and it will do random encounters, and the fact that you are having a actual games master in these kind of games, that was fascinating, I thought.
Yeah. Descent works a bit like that as well, with an app to support it alongside. It's very good.
So Lucky Sixes and Hyper G, if we were to hunt you down on the interwebs, where would we find you?
Well, this is my bit. So main place, YouTube, PTG PROXY Table Gaming, is hit the subscribe and all that jazz. We really like the comments as well. Our fan base is extremely good at writing comments and staying engaged, and that's what we like. So if you do get involved, and because we like to hear from you. Besides that, we are on Twitter as well. That's at Lucky Sixes. We're on Facebook, which is Proxy Table Gaming, and specifically for Ninth Age, we're on the Ninth Age forums as Lucky Sixes and Hyper G. So yeah.
Recently, we've advanced onto Patreon, which Mr. Dan over there is one of our Patreons. So thank you to him and anyone else who fancies joining us.
Yeah.
I need to convince Veil of the Ages to unsub from your Patreon, so my name goes to the top of the list.
Officially, yeah.
Yeah, number 1. That would be good. At the moment, you're just number 2, which...
It's not good enough, Dan. You should donate more.
No.
Thanks for watching. We release segments like this from the Tavern Between Dimensions every Friday here on the Explorers of Elsewhere channel. Otherwise, if you want to listen to the episode in full, you can check us out on Spotify and Amazon Music.